Hello everyone, this is Jake from Fife Paranormal, and today I'm going to talk about one of the cases I consulted on this year. Now, so far this year I have only consulted on two cases. One was really minor involvement. The other one, which I'm going to talk about now, was a bit more involvement, but, not as much as I would like. I have thought about here lately about getting into the whole investigating residential cases, but since we are in a pandemic and all stuff, it does make it kind of tough. But basically, I'm using this time, the break that we have with the pandemic, to kind of sharpen my skills, not just as an investigator investigating residential homes and stuff like that, but also how to interview people, how to conduct those kind of thorough investigations, not just investigating, the spirits, but like history of properties, potential causes for activity, human factors, environmental factors. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that, and that's kind of what I've been researching the last few months. But this one actually came out of North Carolina, and I was contacted by a group. I'm not going to say their names, but they basically came to me saying that there was this house that was experiencing some shadow figures, some objects would move occasionally, but they felt that whatever was in the house really didn't want to communicate with them, but it just wanted to remind them that it was there. So my involvement was about a week and a half after they had investigated it, and it was a good friend of mine and his group, and they said that this family, it was a young family, they moved into this older house. They weren't sure the history, but they said it looked old enough to be Civil War era. So, knowing in North Carolina, that's probably, not too far off. I'm thinking about 1850s, probably 1890s when the house was constructed. But they said that when they moved in there, everything was fine. They said after about a week or so, they started hearing footsteps. Sometimes they would hear voices. They would think it was someone else in the house, and it wasn't. And then after a while, they started paying attention to it, kind of like, hey, you, knock it off, or hey, we hear you, that kind of stuff, basically giving it acknowledgement. And then after that, they said that out of the corner of their eyes, they would start noticing shadow figures moving around. Sometimes they'd be, looking down, doing the dishes or fooling with something. When they'd look up real quick, they'd see a figure in front of them, then it'd be gone. That kind of stuff. They said that whatever it was, whenever they would actually try to communicate with it, that it really wouldn't communicate back. It would kind of just, scurry to the shadows or run away. And they were kind of frustrated with it and all that stuff. But basically, they figured, if it wasn't going to be friendly or anything like that, they wanted it to be gone, especially since I think it was like his wife's sister, something like that, brings her kids sometimes to visit. Basically, there's children in the home. They didn't want the children being freaked out. So they called my buddy's group, and they did some quick investigations, a few spirit box sessions, EVPs. Didn't really get much aside from, a voice here and there. But one of the things that they were curious about is the fact that there was limestone under the house. And that was actually how I got involved in the case. Was my buddy. He contacted me and said, hey, I heard there's a connection between limestone and paranormal activity. They think that whatever the limestone is supercharged in whatever spirit or spirits is there, because they've also told me when I spoke to them that they think there might be a younger child spirit there as well. It could be just one spirit that is, doing strange stuff that seems like two spirits. I don't know. Unfortunately, when you're not there investigating, you can't really say, oh, it was this, oh, it was that, because, you simply aren't there to be sure. So you can only go by what they claim they experience and what they claim to get. So basically, they were trying to look for a way to depower or get rid of an entity that they felt might be supercharged due to the limestone. Now, we don't know how much limestone is under the house, or, if it's like a big deposit, small deposit. I think the homeowners, they were told by the previous owner, by someone who lived in the area, that there was limestone. It was something like that. So they weren't 100% sure there was actually limestone, but that was kind of the explanation they came with why there was so much paranormal activity in the house. So basically, I ended up telling them that even though there is limestone, there are some defenses you can do against it. I said, first off, it doesn't seem to be malevolent by the stuff that they've told me. Even the stuff the investigators told me, I said, it's not malevolent, it's probably just curious, it might even be a bit of like a jokester or something, just trying to get your attention, let you know, hey, I'm here too, I don't want to talk, but I just want you to know I'm here. That's kind of the vibe I got from this spirit. Doing history on the house, I didn't do like a deep search into the history, I did just a brief one, I didn't find much on it. and they didn't find much either, aside from, they think it's Civil War era, something like that. Civil War, North Carolina. There could have been a ghost soldier, could have been a situation like that. Who knows? It could be a million different things. But basically, I told them that they need to go through the house and just say, hey, if you're going to be here with us, these are the ground rules. If you can't follow it, you are to leave. Give it a while, see what happens. If it plays by the rules, proceed from there, whether or not you want to just go ahead and get rid of it, or if you want to keep it. If it doesn't play by the rules, then, get rid of it, essentially. So they did that, and I heard from them about a week later, and they said that they did a big investigation of the house with the homeowners, and they had a few things happen, nothing too crazy, but basically they said that, whenever the kids are there, don't mess with the kids or anything, kind of lay low, and if, the homeowners try to talk to it, they want to be able to communicate with it and all that stuff, that way they can learn more about it. The guy, I can't remember his name, but he's into the paranormal stuff, supernatural. They're fans of the Conjuring universe, Ed and Lorraine Warren. So, they're very interested in finding out the story of not just this spirit, but also the house, which I think is really cool. If there was a ghost in the house I had just moved to, I would want to know the full story, especially if you couldn't dig up a lot of historical information on it. I think that would be really cool. You almost feel like a detective when you do that. But they messaged me not long after they did the investigation, said that everything quieted down. They had a few things happen here or there, but, it could be attributed to, they'd hear footsteps, but it could be, wood expanding, something like that. It could be the AC kicking off, making it sound like it's footsteps. But basically, the activity died down, and they're not 100% sure that the house is haunted anymore. And they had a few questions that, they kind of felt like, I guess to put it in simplest terms, they kind of felt like they offended the ghost a little bit, and they felt bad because they also felt like they kind of kicked it out of its house. And, I reminded them, this is your house now. I said, it was possibly this spirit's house long ago, if it, did live there and die there. I said, but now it's your house. You need to, understand that. And, I think they do, and I think the spirit did, and that's why the spirit's gone away. But it was a very, very interesting case to consult on. My involvement in it wasn't very long. It was cool to do some research again into, the effects of limestone and different natural elements in the paranormal. It was also cool to try and dig up history of this property in North Carolina, trying to, looking at Civil War history, potential Revolutionary War history to see if there could be, a reason for there being this spirit here. It really didn't help that they didn't get a good look at it. They would just see stuff out of the corner of their eyes. And my theory is that as they started talking to it, even jokingly, they opened themselves up to receiving, more communication with it. And that's why they were able to see it. So it wasn't so much that activity, ramped up once they started communicating back, which is possible that could be, because that does happen. But I think that, they just opened their eyes and their senses to stuff that was already happening around them. But I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did. Comment your thoughts below. And I hope you all have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe.